Welcome to Let's Talk About It Tuesdays, where I share conversations that I have with successful women, all answering the same questions. And then we simply chat it up a bit. You get to be a fly on the wall in these conversations. My discussion today is with founder of Kissed by Bliss, Jessica Suzanne. She teaches the art of self-reclamation through divine love. Having walked her own path of discovery, she now helps women rise as the radiant beings they were born to be. The sparkle you see on the outside is unrivaled by the strength she exudes from within. Let's get into it. All right, well, we're just going to dive right in. Good morning.
Okay. Good morning.
And I'm going to ask you the first question. And thank you for being a willing participant because you don't know what the
Absolutely.
questions are.
I
Not to
know.
make you nervous.
I know. It's like, okay, I don't know the questions. This is like the first time I've done a podcast without knowing the questions. And this is good for me. It's good just
Yeah,
to kind of go off the cuff, right?
it's great. It's great. Before I start, though, I'm going to pause this really quickly. All right, we just paused for a second because we were adjusting the camera. I always like to do this as organic as possible, but sometimes we need to make some tweaks. So,
Thank you. I
first
appreciate it.
question, what is quality of life to you?
Yes. So quality of life to me, I would say is being who we truly are, being our true selves, knowing who we are inside and out, knowing what our core values are, knowing what our strengths are, right? Knowing who we are because, so often I did this for so long. We follow the path that the world wants us to take, and we live our lives from the expectations of what we've been taught, what other people are doing, what we think success is. And I know that you were in the corporate world for a long time too. Were you in the corporate world?
No, yes and
Oh,
no.
okay. I thought you, okay.
I was just
Well,
letting you talk before I responded.
oh yeah. So I was, and I was climbing the corporate ladder for so long, and it's the only thing I knew. I grew up in the automotive business. And I thought that that was the way, you go to school, you get a job, you climb the ladder. And I wasn't happy, I always say one of the core parts of my life is knowing that we all have a divine spark within us, the eternal breath of source that is flowing through us. And sometimes if we're not following our path, that spark can get covered up and we don't even realize it. And pretty soon we're living our lives from what the world says we should be instead of who we truly are. And we don't even know who we are. I mean, there was a time when someone would have said, "What do you like to do? Like, what do you do? Or what are you passionate about? Or what are your core values?" And I'm like, I don't know. I go to happy hour. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, it was just like that was the life that I was living, and I didn't know who I was. And so I think quality of life is knowing who we are, knowing our values, knowing our strengths, and living from that place of empowerment, because then it doesn't matter what the outside world is doing or what they say, because we know who we are and we know where we're going. So I think that that would be my top the top thing that has made my life into a quality lifestyle.
Knowing who we are. Beautiful.
Knowing who we are. Yes.
I love it. That's just my kind of bringing it together so I can track with you because we all have our different journeys in this, and I know that they're similar in some ways because we all end up landing where we are
Right.
today. Tomorrow we will land someplace else. But I love how we all have a journey that gets us to where we are today. And so, how do you thrive or how do you put that into practice in your everyday life today, your quality of life?
My quality of life. Well, it has just become who I like, it has become my business. Or do you mean like how do I stay attuned to my truth
We can
kind of
say it
thing?
that way. Yes. So, because I'll tell you what my questions are. Now I can I'll
Okay.
tell you. So, the first question is, what is quality of life to you? How do you live that form and that version of quality of life in your everyday
Mhm.
life? And my next question is going to be, and where are you challenged to live it?
Yeah.
So, however
Okay.
you want to, whatever you want to do with that, it's beautiful. This is
Yeah.
There's no
That's,
script. That's the
I
only
love
script
it.
we
I love
have.
it. So, well, I love what you said first about how our journeys all lead us to where we are today. I think that that was one of the biggest realizations for me is being able to look at even the times that I was unhappy, that I was ashamed of some of the choices that I made, where I felt guilt, and to be able to look at those times in your life and to see the highest perspective, see it from the view of God, of the divine, and know that our problems, right, or our pain is literally the path to our purpose. And so I live my life by that, knowing that no matter what I'm going through in my daily life, no matter what challenges, no matter what struggles are upon me, that this is just an opportunity for me to learn who I am more, to grow higher. Um, and to stay aligned to that, and like I have a morning practice that has been with me ever since I lost my mom. And that was a time when I my spark went dark. I'll just say that. I
Mm.
thought my light was lost with her, and so that was a really hard time in my life. But what I started doing every single morning is just waking up, even before I even put my feet on the floor, was just listening to something motivational, um, and connecting with God, like with who I am, listening to my heart, listening to how I was feeling, and that has been my go to. Every single morning, I ask the divine, what would you have me know today? And so I'm able to drop into my heart that way, to connect with spirit that way. And that's a great way that I've been able to start my day, and in alignment with my true self. And of course, that's just grown and grown, since 9 years ago. And now it's just become such a beautiful practice. I wouldn't start my day without it. So I think that that would be the key way that I stay aligned to my calling, to myself, to God.
Yeah, and what I hear you saying, it's a very active stance that you're taking to be able to, live in the quality of life that's most important to you. And sometimes I think we say, I'm going to live in this quality of life when we make this choice, but then again, there's this action and reaction and interaction that needs to happen from within for us to truly be able to express that in ways that are so important to us.
Yes, yes. I agree. And I think if we rolled into that, like what the biggest challenge is in staying aligned to our highest self is the resistance that we have. It's like sometimes we know we all know what we should be doing, or what is going to help us feel better. But it's like, how can we get past the mind that, that is having resistance, or the soul or the heart or whatever part of us, doesn't want to do the thing. How do you get past that? And that's been a hard thing um, for me to fine tune, for me to understand the cognitive dissonance of wanting so bad. And this is something I work with my clients on, but wanting so bad to change, but you can't. It's like when I struggled with alcohol, especially after my mom passed away. It's like, why can't I just quit drinking? I know that this is not leading me anywhere I want to go. Like, I know that this is taking away my sparkle. I know that this is, you know, dimming my light. I know that I'm not myself when I drink, but I could not, for the life of me, give it up. And I always called myself like the queen of self-sabotage. It's like I'd be doing great, and then I would drink again, and it would start this whole loop, and I would go into shame, and I would
Mm.
feel terrible about myself. I'd feel like a failure, and I would just think like, what is wrong with me? Like, what is wrong with me? And so I think as women, we put so much pressure on ourselves. We're so hard on ourselves when we can't do something.
Yeah.
But oftentimes, like what I've realized is, like for me with alcohol, like that was the inner parts of me that were still hurt, that still that we're taught basically to use alcohol as a way to feel better. Like that's how I grew up. That's what everyone did. You know, we drank and like my whole family drank. And so I started at an early age, not as a child, obviously, but around 15. And it was just what I knew. And it was how I
Mm.
coped and it was how I belonged. And so, you know, saying stopping something that you've been doing for, you know, I drank for 25 years and, you know, so that's a lot of your life that you have to uncover. And so I guess like that's just to bring it full circle, like just that resistance. I just think that we all need to be easier on ourselves
Mm.
because at somewhere along the line, that's how we were taught to cope. And there's a little girl inside of us that is still yearning for that coping. And so until we're able to heal that part of us, until I was able to heal that part of me, I wasn't able to make any substantial changes. So
Yeah, the resistance. Would you mind sharing a little bit more about how that might play out? How you can, if you want, you can share it for your own personal self or just how you've seen it with your clients, because I have an idea of what resistance might mean, but you might be talking about something else. So I'd love to hear your perspective in that.
yeah, well, just the resistance of saying, I mean, kind of like I said, of you really want to change. Like, say you really want a better body, or you want to feel better in your body, or you know, you want to feel more beautiful, or you just really want to take a step and you want to do something different, and you say, okay, I'm gonna do it. And then it comes on, you know, Monday comes along and it comes to lace up your tennis shoes and go to the gym, and you're just like, I don't want to. I don't know why, but I see outside, like I see how beautiful it is and the sun is out and I want to go for a walk, but like you're frozen. And so
Mhm.
I think that the frozen part is our nervous system, that inner child part of us that wants to stay cozy in our jammies in our home. You know, and so I think like it's like the fighter. It's a reaction of our nervous system. When we're going to do something that feels uncomfortable, our nervous system wants to get excited or, you know, get overexcited, I should say, and it causes us to freeze. And so I feel like our nervous system and balancing that um, is a great place to really hone in on any changes that we want to make. Um, because at the end of the day, we have to have all of us on board to make any sort of change. We have to have our mind, our body, soul, and our heart all speaking the same language.
Mhm.
Because if our heart wants to do something, but our mind is like, you know, monkey mind and having all these doubts, then it's like we don't make the change. So,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah,
Thank you for sharing that because, I also value the gym or the exercise metaphor because almost everybody knows what that looks like. Everybody knows like if you want to get in shape or if you want to feel better within your body and that resistance to putting the shoes on and well, a lot of times buying a new pair of shoes will help. But
yes, getting
but
like or new leggings, right? Like I always live with like getting a new leggings, a new sports bra
something,
or
yeah,
something.
something to make it. Well, that's just what speaks to me is let's make it fun. But
Yes,
but the reality of sometimes just actually doing the thing when we don't feel like it, even though we know it's in our best interest, is the most important thing to pay attention to. Not the what's wrong with the self-talk, which I think you've discovered. It's not the what's wrong with me, it's the what's worth paying attention to in this resistance because
absolutely.
that's where the meat and potatoes is, and that's where we find our true growth.
Yes, yes. And that's so true is being able to listen to the part of you that doesn't want to go outside, that doesn't want to run, that doesn't want to do the thing, because she's the part of you that needs healing. She's the part of you that wants to speak. And, you know, something that's really worked in terms of that is, you know, our soul is always telling us where we need to heal through our triggers, through our emotions, through our feelings. And so if we just follow them, it's like we don't even have to add any other practice to our plate. If we just go throughout our day and we start looking at What are we triggered by? Where are we having resistance? Where are we feeling angry? Any sort of negative emotion. And you can follow that back and say, okay, when is the first time that I remember feeling this emotion, this trigger? And then you can go back to that place and then you heal the root of it. You look at it from a higher perspective. And when you can come to a place of fully forgiving all of the people involved in that, and most importantly, yourself, that's when true freedom, I think,
Yeah.
really happens. That's how we can get past that resistance.
Yes. And so I find the value in that as well from my experience. And then, but I also, not that, and I also want to offer that sometimes there are moments when we cannot do it on ourselves within ourselves. And so, especially if I'm working with someone, I'll say, I'm going to recommend that you go to a therapist and help and have that therapist help you unlock some of that as well. Because there are times when we really can't get to the root of the thing, even though we know it's there. And I
Yeah.
have found great value in being able to go to therapy and to a therapist and go to someone outside of myself, especially when I have built support systems. And sometimes the systems are people that know me, but they don't really know how to help me.
Right, right. Yes, yes, exactly, exactly.
They want to support
Yeah,
me. They don't necessarily want to be like, I'm going to poke that thing right there. Whereas a therapist, when we're at that level, and even to a degree as a coach, sometimes we'll do a light poke, on the path. But when the poke needs, I don't know why I'm using the word poke, but when it needs to be a little bit deeper, that's when what I found next level is really important. And so, sorry, did you want to say something? Because I have another question.
oh no, you go ahead. You go
Okay,
ahead.
so the you use the word trigger, and so sometimes I find because that is a very popular cultural term
Hmm.
right now of oh that's triggered, oh that's triggering, and so I want to be a little bit mindful and give you the opportunity to speak to that too of like what does trigger mean to you, and when you're saying that when we're out there and we're triggered because it my understanding is it can be anything from light to super deep. We have
Oh,
PTSD
oh
triggering. We
yeah.
have just like, oh my gosh, that brings something back. So share with us what you're
Yeah.
referring to.
Well, just on the broader spectrum of a trigger, just essentially anything that you feel a little gut punch or you feel an emotion come up. Like for instance, like let's say we're at a female event and a woman gets up to speak, and let's say you're afraid of speaking, but you've always wanted to be a speaker. And you've always pictured yourself up there, but you just haven't been able to get out of your comfort zone to do it. And so this beautiful woman walks on stage and she's wearing an outfit that you would have loved to wear, and you look at her shoes and you're like, "Oh, those are so cute." But then all of a sudden, you find she starts speaking and you start judging her for what she's saying. You say,
Mm,
"Oh, I don't know. I don't agree with that. I wouldn't say it that way. That's not the way I would say it." Or say, you kind of start judging and you start picking her apart. It goes from, wow, this is a high class woman, or this is somebody that
yeah.
I could see myself being, to all of a sudden she's speaking and you're literally like picking apart her whole talk, and then you start going what she's wearing. And so that would be a trigger. And I kind of said like the deeper wound before I
Yeah.
mentioned the trigger, but the
Yeah.
deeper wound would be is like, I want to be up there, but I'm too scared to get up there, or I'm, to get out of my comfort zone. So I'm going to bring her down so that I don't have to feel so bad.
Yes, yes. Thank you for clarifying that and explain that a little bit further because you're right. That is, especially as women, when we find ourselves and we are competing or we found ourselves not appreciating the outside value of what someone brings to the table. Yeah, very often that is an inner wound that is within us and how we are feeling about ourselves. And that's worth mentioning. There's room for all of us to do all the things. And the healthier side of that looks like, oh my gosh, I want to be like her when I grow up. And what is she doing that's working? Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. Like, oh, maybe I can talk to her a little bit more and see like what she first started doing because
Right.
we all go through a journey. Maybe she felt uncomfortable when she first started, and maybe she has something that I can learn from. So it's like we have to kind of check ourselves. you know,
Yes.
and be open to just letting our guard down a little bit and
Yeah.
to yeah, and to learning from other women because that's the most powerful thing we can do, you know.
Yeah.
I find myself now, if I see a girl, like, I don't know, now that I've done a lot of work around that, you know, because you can see any woman on the street in a beautiful outfit or cute little leggings, and she just looks gorgeous, and you know, it kind of triggers you. And I've just learned to now just say, wow, she, she looks gorgeous. Or, you know, just kind of like really
Yeah.
feel that and energetically send her a compliment because if we send good energy out, it comes right
Mhm.
back to us. And
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Yes. You're making me think of um, a lot of us, before we go through this growth process, are really walking around with so many wounded parts of us. We get so many messages when we're growing up or in culture and about what it looks like to be a perfect woman. And that varies from every culture, from Latina to black to white to every single culture has these parameters that are embodied and then just compounded by our American ways that we have this opportunity just to be triggered left and right when we're walking down the street. But to your point, how do we grow through that? How do we pay attention to that so we can grow through that? And then in turn be in this place where we can appreciate our differences and our
Yes.
similarities and how
There you go.
someone
Yeah.
has something that we don't have, but we can send them energy or blessings or prayers or whatever our language is
Yeah.
ultimately, I think, a sign of us being a healed society in some way, shape, or form.
Yes.
That's the
I agree.
goal.
Yes. And I agree completely. And I think it all just starts with the simple fact of just becoming aware and just
Yeah.
saying, instead of, you know, because we're so used to being triggered at this point. And you're right. It's kind of like an everyday word now. And you're like, oh, you know, like, oh, I'm so triggered. But it's like, okay, but why am I triggered? And you just start asking yourself some questions. And honestly, you know, I always ask spirit, just lead me, like close, you know, lead me. Where did I start feeling this? Why am I feeling this? And really allow the light to come in and show you because, you know, God gave us that power. You know, it's like we're never alone. Even when we think we're alone, you know, we always have a higher power that is there to help us to uncover these deeper parts of ourselves. And without that, I mean, I just wouldn't be. It just wouldn't be where I am today. It's just so um, comforting to just sit down with the divine sometimes, especially when you're feeling triggered, especially when you're having a bad day, and 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 let that energy come into your cracks and light you back up.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is, that's apparent every time that I see you, that you seek to live a life that is guided by light
Mhm.
and that you have this emanation of what that looks like for you. And that's what I appreciate and love about our interactions whenever we've had them, is that you really are your true and authentic self. You don't necessarily, I've never experienced you that where you have come across that you're hiding or pretending to be somebody else or desiring to be that woman on the other side of the room. And
Mhm.
so thank you for living that out and being an example of it.
Thank
Because
you.
as I say that, I know we're not always perfect and we're always a work in progress,
Always.
but if we can be more transparent with our work in progress,
Yes,
what
I
would it
agree.
like, that how amazing would that be?
Yes, because we're all here. I mean, there's that saying, right? We're all here to walk each other home. We're all here for each other. And when we just start opening up a little bit more and getting that flow of energy going, we start attracting more people. Like, you know, this whole how we met and the group of women that we're all, you know, that the group of networking women that we're a part of you can tell that there's something really special there. And I think that that's the culmination of doing some of the inner healing and the inner work is that you start attracting those same people to you. And that's where it gets really, really beautiful. So, yeah, I love that. If we could just start letting it flow, just being more, being exactly who we are and not being ashamed of it or apologetic. If you're having a bad darn day, like who cares? Talk about it. Like that's it. We just got to.
Yes.
So, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Okay. I totally got sidetracked on that because I was so in the moment with what you were saying. Yes.
Yay.
Oh, okay. I had a question on my tongue, completely forgot it. Let's see.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Just
okay.
living a life of authenticity. I mean, I think that brings it back full circle of what I believe quality of life is. And it's just being able to live our authentic selves. And if you don't know what that is yet, then to love yourself enough to uncover that and to just
Yeah.
start asking deeper questions.
Yes. Yes. Thank you for pulling me back because and now I remember what I was going to say is
Okay.
because the whole reason that I love talking about quality of life is because if we are not living in our own version of quality of life, then what are we here for? What value is there in the time, the brief time, although it feels like a very long time, and if we're lucky, we get to have a long life.
Yes.
What is this for? And, we get so caught up into, not we, some of us get so caught up into the survival, the making it, the achieving, that it's not always with purpose. Sometimes it's because, to your point, at the very beginning of what you were saying, it's because we think that's what we're just supposed to do, and we're operating on autopilot.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
I'm excited that we have this voice to continue that conversation of getting connected to ourselves and our own purpose and our own authentic
Yeah, and it's
truth.
like being okay. Like if you're at a place that you don't like and you're at this great job and maybe you got really, really high in it and you're like, well, how could I possibly quit now? I'll let my family down. I've made, this is my career. Like I don't want to let people down, but it's also like, but you also don't want to live a life that isn't aligned to your true north, to your true happiness. And it's like we owe it to ourselves to love ourselves enough to, if we don't want to be somewhere, then to explore what something different would look like that's
Hmm.
more aligned.
Yeah. And to the people some of the people that I work with, they can't make those changes, right? And so uh, some people are that I've experienced not as at a capability to be able to go, I'm done. I've done that. You've done that. I'm done. We're
Yeah,
changing everything.
yeah,
But that's where, when we live in our own true self, we figure out ways that we can incorporate that through our everyday life, aka quality of life, every day. That's when it alleviates a little bit of it. That's what I've found. It alleviates a little bit of that so that building blocks can be
yes.
created towards that ultimate path.
Yes, that's it, Chelsea. I love that you brought that up, and that's what you do because when you are in a corporate job or in an office job or in anything you don't like, but you can't just like quit because you need the money. You have rent, you have bills, you have a family, but you can make it better while you're there. And
Yes.
as you begin making your quality of life better, you are sending a signal to the universe, right? That okay, I'm ready for more. And those opportunities will start coming at you as you raise your quality of life, as you raise your energy, then you'll get that reflected
Yeah.
back.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
find a lot, it's not only with work, it's with relationships, it's
Yeah.
with our health. And we
Yes.
can't always pull out that magic wand and go, okay, my relationship is different. My relationship with you is different and better. And my health all of a sudden is not showing the side effects of all the things that have happened before me. And so this is a process. This is step by step, day by day. And I love your practice of checking in every day and having it be an event that you cannot live without now.
Yes. An anchor, right? An anchor for your whole
Anchor.
day. Uh, and if you just say, even if you just say, what's one thing I could do today that's going to make me proud, that's going to make me feel really good about myself. And you just focus on one thing, just one thing. That's it. And then you lay your head on the pillow that night and you did that one thing and you feel good. And you get up and do it again. And you're right. It's the baby steps, it's the small things that we can do in our everyday lives that literally add up to
Yeah.
whatever we want. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Thank you for that. I appreciate our time together. Would you
Yes,
like
thank
to
you.
take a moment and share a little bit more, a little bit more about what is it that you do and how you help people?
Yes. So I am an empowerment coach for women, and I'm the creator of a brand new space called Kissed by Bliss. And essentially, our three core values as a business are faith, fire, and freedom. And so faith is what I've been talking about here. It's that we all have a divine spark within us, the eternal breath of source. And the faith is just being able to become aware of that and say, okay, maybe, just maybe, maybe I am more than I've been taught. Maybe I have more in me. Maybe I have more, power than I've let myself believe. And I'm going to have faith, that I am meant for big things. And so, and that I have big things inside of me, right? So that's step one. And then fire, I say, is like the missing link to any woman's life. It is our life force. It is how it's our desire, and so once you start clearing off this divine spark that we have, because it gets a little dusty with our life, then it activates the fire in us. It's literally the spirit of God that moves through our body, and it moves us in the direction that we want to go, and it gives us the energy and the motivation to find what we're truly meant for. And so that's fire. And then freedom, of course, is what happens when your divine spark and your fire are leading your life, and you are leading it from your authentic self, from your own divinity, from God, from source. And you are moving in alignment, not from, more doing. And it's more from just a place of just surrendering and letting that force lead your life. And that's where I've found the most freedom, is when you can just finally let go and have the faith that you're going to be led exactly where you're meant to be led.
Wow, so powerful. Thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for leaving your mark on your time here and on the earth and the ways that you're doing it. I know it is so powerful and so needed.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Chelsea. This is
All right.
great.
Well, you have a fabulous day. Once again, thank you for joining us, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Okay. Sounds good. Bye.
Next week, join me as I chat with Krista Kelly, and she brings our quality of life conversation to next levels of perspective.
Ask yourself, what exactly is it that you want, that you yearn for, that you're really gonna go to the ends of the world for you to know the answers.
I'm Chelsea. I'm here to help women build and incorporate quality of life into our everyday busy lives. See you next week.